Today's Zoom session is being brought to you by the Fractal Horizon Labyrinth A. All right, look how close we are to the end. All right, this is section 9, and it's about completing the square. So let's begin this. Completing a square helps in the solution of quadratic equations. We start off with this. X squared plus bx plus something equals the square of x plus something else. What's the something and what's the something depending on the b? Well, the formula is very simple. The square of x plus b over 2 turns out to be x squared plus bx plus b squared over 4. Now, if you're just given b, what you do is what I call completing the square. You divide by 2 and get b over 2, which goes here. Square the result, that's b squared over 4, and that goes here. And that writes x squared plus bx plus a term equals the square of x plus another term. This on the right side, on the left is called a completed square. For example, x squared plus 6x plus what equals the square of x plus what? So what we do is take half of this 6, that's a 3, square that, that's a 9. We put the 9 here and the 3 here, and we get that x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals the square of x plus 3. Here's x squared minus 10x plus what equals the square of x plus what? Okay, we take take half of this negative 10 because we have to make sure that have to put this sign in there as well. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. Square that, that's 25. We'll put the 25 here, the negative 5 here, and get x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals the square of x minus 5. Now, we can use completing the square to solve quadratic equations. Let's start with x squared plus 4x equals 5. What we'll do is we'll complete the square on the left side. Here's what we do. X squared plus 4x. Take half of 4, that's 2. Square that, that's 4, and then add that 4 to both sides, just to keep the equation balanced. So you get x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 5 plus 4. Now this left side is the square of x plus 2, right here. And 5 plus 4 is 9. Now we have x plus 2 squared equals 9, and now we can solve by square roots. Take square root of both sides. X plus 2 is plus or minus root 9. X plus 2 is plus or minus 3. Subtract 2 from both sides and get x equals negative 2 plus or minus 3. That's either it's negative 5 or it's positive 1. And these are the solutions to this equation. Here's y, g squared minus 2g equals 15. So what we do is take half of this negative 2, that's a negative 1. Square that, that's 1, add to both sides. So g squared minus 2g plus 1 equals 15 plus 1. The left side is the square of g minus 1 here. And 15 plus 1 is 16 here. So g minus 1 squared equals 16. Take square roots. G minus 1 is plus or minus root 16. That's g minus 1 equals plus or minus 4. Add 1 to both sides, and g equals 1 plus or minus 4. That's either positive 5 or negative 3. Excuse me. All right, so we'll do some examples. So we're going to complete the square in all these three cases. X squared minus 4x, a squared minus 7a, we're going to get an odd number here, and that's going to be a fraction. X squared minus 5 halves x here. Here we're going to have a even more complicated fraction here. So be it. X squared minus 4x. We divide the negative 4 by 2 and get negative 2. Square that to get 4. We put that there. And this is equal to the square of x minus 2, like that. Now let's complete the square a squared minus 7a. A squared minus 7a. Take half of negative 7. You get negative 7 halves. Square that. That's 49 fourths. Add here. And so a squared minus 7a plus 49 fourths. And that equals the square of a minus 7 halves, like this. Now let's try completing the square for x squared minus 5 halves x. X squared minus 5 halves x. Take half of negative 5 halves, that's negative 5 fourths. Square that, that's 25 sixteenths. Add that here, x squared minus 5 halves x plus 25 sixteenths, and that will be a square of x minus 5/4, like this. Now I'll use this to solve quadratic equations. X squared minus 6x equals -8. Solve that. Okay, you have x squared and plus 6x. Half, it's plus 6x, sorry. Half of 6 is 3. Square that is 9. Add 9 to both sides. So you get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals -8 plus 9. Now this is a completed square. It equals the square of x plus this 3 here. X plus 3 squared. -8 plus 9 is 1. Okay, great. We have it down to something we can solve by square roots. Take square roots and get x plus 3 is plus or minus root 1. That's x plus 3 equals plus or minus 1. Subtract 3 and get x equals -3 plus or minus 1. That's x is -2 or x is -4. You have k squared minus 8k is -12. All right, half of -8 is -4. Squared is 16. Add to both sides. K squared minus 8k plus 16 equals -12 plus 16. This left side is a square of k minus 4. And -12 plus 16 is 4. So k minus 4 squared is 4. Okay, square roots, take square roots. So k minus 4 equals plus or minus root 4, which is plus or minus 2. Add 4 to both sides and get k equals 4 plus or minus 2. So that's k equals 6 or k equals 2. These are the solutions to this. Now it's going to get a little complicated. X squared minus 2x minus 17 equals 0. Now, first of all, this 17 is in the way of completing the square, so we move it to the other side. Add 17 to both sides. And now we have x squared minus 2x equals 17. Great. Now we take half of this -2, that's a -1. Square that, that's 1, add to both sides. So you get x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 17 plus 1. This left side is a completed square of x minus 1, all squared. 17 plus 1 is 18. So x minus 1 squared is 18. Take square roots. X minus 1 is plus or minus root 18. Root 18 breaks into root 9, root 2. Root 9 is 3. So x minus 1 is plus or minus 3 root 2. Add 1 to both sides. And so you get x equals 1 plus or minus 3 root 2. Those are the solutions. These are approximately 5.242 and -3.242. Now it's getting more complicated because we have a 5 in front of the b squared. 5b squared plus 3b minus 4 is 0. Okay, first we transpose the 4. 5b squared plus 3b equals 4. Now for completing the square to work, we need a 1 in front of the b squared. So we'll divide throughout by 5 and get b squared plus 3/5 b is 4/5. Now we can complete the square. Half of 3/5 is 3/10. Square that is 9/100. Add to both sides. So b squared plus 3/5 b plus 9/100 equals 4/5 plus 9/100. This left side is a completed square of b plus 3/10, like here. And run to a calculator, and this comes out to be 89/100. All right. So b plus 3/10 all squared equals 89/100. So to square roots, b plus 3/10 is plus or minus root 89/100, which is plus or minus root 89 over root 100 is 10. And okay, so from here, we subtract 3/10 from both sides. Get b is -3/10 plus or minus root 89/10. And it's traditional, put it over the common denominator. So b is -3 plus or minus root 89, all that divided by 10. More confusions. 4x squared minus 13 equals 24x. Well, the 24x should be on the left and the 13 should be on the right. So we subtract 24 from both sides, add 13 to both sides, and you get 4x squared minus 24x equals 13. Now this 4 is annoying, so we divide throughout by 4. We get x squared minus 6x equals 13/4. So now we are in a position to complete the square. Half of -6 is a -3, squared is 9, add to both sides. Get x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 13/4 plus 9. This left side is the square of x minus 3 here. 13/4 plus 9, after you calculate a bit, it's 49/4. So, square roots. X minus 3 is plus or minus root 49/4, which fortuitously comes out to a perfect square. Root 49 is 7, root 4 is 2, so plus or minus 7/2. Add 3 to both sides and get x equals 3 plus or minus 7/2. Or in other words, negative half, 1/2, or 13/2. These solve this. 2x squared minus 6x equals negative 6x minus 1. Add 6x to both sides. 2x squared plus 6x equals negative 1. Now we divide by this 2 to make a 1 in front of the x squared and get x squared plus 3x is negative 1/2. Now we complete the square. Half of 3 is 3/2. Squared is 9/4. Add 9/4 to both sides. So x squared plus 3x plus 9/4 is negative half plus 9/4. This left side is the square of x plus 3/2 here. And negative half plus 9/4 after some calculating is 7/4. All right, take square roots. X plus 3/2 is plus or minus root 7/4. That breaks into plus or minus root 7, all divided by root 4, which is 2. Then we subtract 3/2 from both sides and get x is negative 3/2 plus or minus root 7/2. And okay, we could put this over a common denominator. Negative 3 plus or minus root 7, all divided by 2. Nine x squared minus 36x minus 1. Now it's getting kind of gnarly. All right, well, let's move the 1 over. 9x squared minus 36x equals 1. Divide by 9. X squared minus 4x equals 1/9. All right, we complete the square. Divide minus 4 by 2, you get negative 2. Square that, you get 4. Add to both sides. You get x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 1/9 plus 4. This left side is the square of x minus 2. And 1/9 plus 4 is 37/9. Take a square root. X minus 2 is plus or minus root 37/9, which is plus or minus root 7, all that divided by root 9, which is 3. Then we add 2 to both sides and get x equals 2 plus or minus root 37/3. Or equivalently, it's 6 plus or minus root 37, all divided by 3. Here we go. Now for this next one, I could go by completing the square, but in this case, it's easy enough to solve this by factoring. Y squared plus 5y plus 4 equals 0. By factoring, you could need two numbers whose sum is 5 and whose product is 4, and those are 4 and 1. So this becomes y plus 4 times y plus 1 is 0. So y plus 4 is 0, or y plus 1 is 0, so y is negative 4, or y is negative 1. Now I could go transpose the 4, half of 5 is 5/2, square that is 25/4, add to both sides, etc., 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 and we get the same results. So I'll let that be. The book here, edited by 95, was asking for solutions any way you choose. However, let me see, did I do this right? Just a second. I sometimes lose track of where I am. Okay, it should be number 8. Here we go. Now here we have a similar problem, only instead of a 4, we have a 3. And for this one, we can't solve by factoring, so we'll have to use completing the square. Transpose the 3, y squared plus 5y is negative 3. Half of 5 is 5/2, squared is 25/4, add to both sides. So y squared plus 5y plus 25/4 equals negative 3 plus 25/4. This is equal to the square of y plus 5/2 here. Negative 3 plus 25/4 is 13/4. So square roots. Y plus 5/2 is plus or minus root 13/4. And then that's plus or minus root 13, all divided by root 4, which is 2. Subtract 5/2 from both sides and get y equals negative 5/2 plus or minus root 13. that divided by 2. Or to put it over a common denominator, y equals -5 plus or minus root 13, all that divided by 2. Here you have related problems. It's 97a and b. 2a squared minus 8a is 0. 2a squared minus 8a is 1. For this one, it's simple, really. We can already factor that. 2a squared and 8a have a common factor of 2a times what's left is a minus 4. That equals 0. So product equals 0 means one of the factors is 0. 2a is 0 or a minus 4 is 0. And so a is 0 or a equals 4. That solves that. Here we can't do that because it's 2a squared minus 8a equals 1 this time. So this is one for solution by completing the square. First we divide throughout by 2. We get a squared minus 4a equals a half. Now complete the square. Half of -4 is -2. Squared is 4. Add that to both sides. So a squared minus 4a plus 4 equals 4.5. This left side is the square of a minus 2. 4.5 is 9 halves. Take square roots. A minus 2 is plus or minus root 9 halves, which is plus or minus 3 over root 2. Multiply above and below by root 2. You get plus or minus 3 root 2. Divide by 2. A minus 2 is plus or minus 3 root 2 over 2. Add 2 to both sides, and you get a is 2 plus or minus 3 root 2 over 2. Or equivalently, a is 4 plus or minus 3 root 2, all that divided by 2. Okay. Well, okay, we've concluded this section. Stop recording.